Hello, good afternoon. My name is Berta Valle. I am an activist from Nicaragua. And I would like to share my personal story today with you. In April 2018, the Nicaraguan people took the street to protest against Daniel Ortega. And the way that the regime reacted was by killing more than 350 people, mostly students. They imprisoned thousands of Nicaraguans that participated in the protest and also forced thousands of Nicaraguans into exile. We began to see a crackdown of the civic space. The regime started imposing illegal laws to stop dissidents. And on June 3rd that year, 2018, my husband, Félix Maradiaga, received a message announcing that our bank accounts were frozen and his organization was confiscated. So I want you to imagine for a moment that suddenly, in seconds, the government takes away your assets, your life savings, everything that you were building, it's gone. In that same month, in June 2018, I was forced into exile with our daughter, my mother-in-law, because of the persecution. Felix remained in the country, and he decided to be part of the opposition movement. He accepted the nomination to run as a presidential candidate by the Blue and White movement to challenge Daniel Ortega in the national elections that were supposed to be held in 2021. But what happened is that the regime, again, imposed adverse conditions. The regime prevented him to mobilize freely in the country, so the team did the impossible to carry a clandestine campaign. And without the access of banking accounts, it was even harder. Even donors, private donors, friends that wanted to support the campaign could go into prison just because of helping him. Later, in June 2021, only 4 months before the national elections, my husband, Félix Maradiaga, was arbitrarily detained by the Ortega's regime. He stood for 611 days under inhumane conditions. He was not allowed to have any reading or writing material, not even a Bible. And it was not only him. Every presidential candidate was also arbitrarily detained, together with student leaders, peasant leaders, women leaders of the women movements, any dissidents that wanted to step up to power was in prison. And while that happened, I started an international campaign to advocate for the release of Felix and more than 200 political prisoners in Nicaragua. And it was during that time that I met Alex Glasstein at the Human Rights Foundation in an event, and he told me that they were having a meeting with Bitcoiners to speak about Bitcoin. And I initially attended and didn't fully understand the technical part, but I quickly realized that if I have known about Bitcoin earlier, the Ortega's dictatorship would not have been able to confiscate us and take away our assets. So this led me to become a Bitcoin educator for activists and human rights defender through the World Liberty Congress and the Nicaraguan Freedom Foundation. And then this picture is part of the miracle that I received, that's the way I call it, when in February 8, 2023, thanks to a humanitarian effort of the United States, which accepted 222 political prisoners from Nicaragua to come to the US, and they were relieved and our family was reunited again. As a result of this action, the Ortega's regime did what nobody have done, at least in the Americas, which was taking away the citizenship of more than 300 Nicaraguans, all of them part of the opposition movement. And now we became stateless. So I can say that Bitcoin has helped me to be resilient, even as a woman in exile, a journalist, a human rights defender, a stateless person, because it have inspired me to help others that are living and suffering the same situation that I was in. Because I believe Bitcoin is a force for good because it is a technology of freedom. Recently, last year, in September 2024, Ortega deported 35 political prisoners. And they were being held in Guatemala, that was the country that received them, and were initially supported by human rights organizations. However, because of the closure of USAID, crucial resources and funding were cut, so these people were in very critical condition. So our group stepped in, we educate them about Bitcoin, and with the support of the Reynolds Foundation, FEDI app, and the Human Rights Foundation, we were able to purchase supermarket cards with Bitcoin, and we sent it to them, and they could buy food that was something urgent to attend with minimal fees and within seconds. And I share this story because this is the evidence on how human rights defenders and activists that have been suffering repressions are now being helped by this technology that is Bitcoin. We are also working with different communities. For example, the political prisoners and also ex-political prisoners that have been released. We are working with evangelical pastors in Cuba, refugees and stateless individuals, youth leaders in Cambodia, women movement leaders in Central America, diaspora civil society organizations, and as Leopoldo Lopez mentioned, also through the World Liberty Congress, we are exploring so many possibilities where Bitcoin can be a life-saving. It is also, for me, gratifying to say that we are also sharing our experience with humanitarian organizations such as the National Endowment for Democracy and the International Republican Institute. And I have found a very open mind and audience to explore the potential of Bitcoin. So to close, I would like to give some recommendation which from our work, it's very important. The first thing is to encourage humanitarian organizations to test Bitcoin as a complementary tool for delivery support, especially in context of repression, exile, and financial surveillance. Second, invest in grassroots education and prioritize training programs tailored for vulnerable communities, especially those excluded from the traditional system, bank system, such as stateless people, exile, and civil society leaders. And finally, support digital tools that allow individuals to receive and manage resources securely, privately, and through a simple and user-friendly interface. Thank you very much.